welcome to the Quest Forums channel. Today we're going to discuss another of the maybe lesser known articles of C.S. Lewis. This one is titled On Ethics, and in it Lewis discusses a concept that we are still actually dealing with today, kind of an argument that's occurring over whether people need to return to Christian ethics or whether they need to abandon Christian ethics. And the point that Lewis wants to make here is that actually we're discussing that with kind of the wrong terminology. Because the thing about ethics is there isn't really a Christian version of them. There's only one version of ethics that kind of boils down to the overall sense that each one of us has, that there are goods that we should pursue and evils that we should avoid. There's going to be different interpretations, a lot of different religions and philosophies through the course of human history on what those goods and those evils are. But if you talk about ethics as something that you can either get back into or that you can get out of, then you're talking about something that's really not all that human. We are all born with this ability to recognize the difference between good and bad. And so we all have ethics already kind of encoded in us, I suppose you could say. And if you make it like you can kind of just choose it off of a buffet, then you're suggesting that you don't have ethics to start with. But if you don't have that morality, that sense of morality, then you're not going to choose a form of ethics to adhere to because you're not going to feel an obligation to do the right thing by behaving ethically on any standard. And so Lewis wants to get across that we need to understand the standard is always there. It's the application of the standard that matters. Now, he uses the example of nationalism in order to explain this, and we can still use that today. Of course, in the middle of the previous century, Nazism was at its height and at its most destructive, and so it's understandable that he would point right to that, but we're seeing it on the rise again today, so it's pertinent for us to be able to discuss it. And he mentions the fact that really with nationalism, you don't have a new form of ethics. You just have one aspect of ethics that's turned into the ultimate, the primary, the only virtue, and all others are ignored as a result. And that is the virtue of caring most for those who are close to you. That is something that we are born doing. We care more about our family than we do about people thousands of miles away. That is a part of human life. But nationalism and Nazism, they turned that into the only thing that you care about, and actually add to it that you should make people in outside groups suffer in order to advance your own group. And that's to ignore what is in the rest of ethics and the rest of the moral law, rather than actually do something new. It's to ignore what we can also understand from nature is that we should respect other people, because even if they're not close to us, they're still like us. They still share our nature. We can recognize that rationally, and in the case of Christianity through Scripture, it's how we're told that we were created. And so when we understand that, we realize that we need to hold these things in balance, that we care about those close to us, but we also care about those who are far away. Another example that you can point to is just kind of the drive for extreme individualism that we see right now, which Lewis did, again, have some point of contact with, where you can recognize how some people just want to engage in mind-altering drugs or change their gender identity, or to engage in whatever sexual behavior that they want to because it will help them achieve self-realization. And they treat that as though that is a new ethic. But again, there's nothing new really about that. It's always been understood that you should pursue your own good. You have the Declaration of Independence that talks about the pursuit of happiness. You have Jesus in Matthew chapter 22, who mentions that you should love yourself. So this has always existed. It's just existed along with the knowledge that you should be doing the right things as well, that you shouldn't turn that into the only virtue that exists, because then you will behave in self-destructive ways. And so we need to have all of ethics pieced together, not a contraction that makes it so that we're living a life that's actually empty as a result. If you're going to talk about Christian ethics, that's what you're really talking about. It's not a separate set of guidelines, but a worldview that says that all of ethics is important. And even more so, that teaches that it's impossible to keep the entirety of the moral law, that we cannot be perfect, and that we are fallen. And as a result, we need someone to save us, someone to make it possible for us to become righteous in a way that we cannot do for ourselves. Christianity says that that has happened through the death and resurrection of Jesus Christ, who paid our penalty so that if we trust in him, we can find forgiveness and eternal life. That's supposed to be our focus. And we teach ethics because we want people to know that there is that accountability. But the focus is not, again, on choosing one form or another to follow. It's just about recognizing the reality that we are all in and then responding to the truth of what Christ has done for us. So again, I hope that you will check out C.S. Lewis's own words on this with the video that I'll also have linked in the description. And I also hope that you appreciated this discussion. Hopefully you got something out of it. If you want to add anything to it, or if you maybe have questions about this or anything in the Bible or having to do with Christianity, feel free to put that in the comments below. Thanks for checking out this video. And until next time, keep looking up.